Confident, cocky. You've heard these words a million times, right? They feel so similar, but they live on completely different planets. The real question is, do we actually know what separates a solid foundation from, well, a fragile facade?
And this quote from Thaddeus Mitchell, man, it just hits the nail on the head. I'm confident, not cocky. There is a difference. It's a line so many of us have thought or maybe even said out loud. But what is that difference? Like, for real? Okay, so let's actually do this. Let's dive in and really deconstruct these two ideas. We're going to use this incredible metaphor that gets right to the very core of how they're built, and, more importantly, what they can actually withstand.
All right, at its heart, the whole distinction is about substance versus show. One is built to last, the other's just built for an audience. It's architecture versus advertising. And check this out, it's so clear when you put it side by side. Confidence, it's a house you build when absolutely no one's looking. Cockiness, it's just a lawn sign you're hoping the neighbors read. One is a solid structure that's going to hold up. The other, it's like a cardboard parade float that's going to get shredded by the first gust of wind. It's all about what's internal versus what's external, right? The house is the result of private, unseen work. It has integrity. The sign, the float, that's all about getting that external validation. And because of that, it's just so fragile.
Okay, so if confidence is a house, how in the world do you actually build it? And let me tell you, it's not about just saying, I'm confident, over and over again. It's not about positive affirmations. It's about quiet, consistent, and honestly, pretty unglamorous work.
I absolutely love this idea of the quiet math. It's not some big, flashy performance. Nope, it's the daily calculation of just showing up and putting in the work. And these small proofs he talks about, those are the literal beams and floorboards of your internal structure. You're burying them under the floorboards where no one sees them, but you know they're there.
And here's how that math actually works. Step 1. You show up. You just show up, especially on the days you really don't feel like it. Step 2. You do the work. The actual work, not just talking about the work. Step 3. You let that result, whether it was good or bad, just settle in. It becomes part of your embodied memory. And then over time, step 4 happens naturally. You start to trust that the structure you've built piece by tiny piece is actually going to hold you up.
All right, so you've built your house. Awesome. But now comes the real test. How does it handle the outside world? How does it deal with criticism, with feedback, with the very real possibility of being wrong?
And this right here is the absolute key. Genuine confidence is coachable. It's not scared of that wobble you feel when you're learning something new. A confident person can hear you're wrong about something they did, and they don't translate it into you're worthless as a person. In fact, confidence loves to learn.
But cockiness, it hears that exact same feedback completely differently. For the cocky person, hearing you're wrong feels like a direct assault on their entire being. And so what does it do? It scrambles to rename the scoreboard. Instead of learning, it just panics. It protects that fragile ego by changing the rules or blaming the game or attacking the person who gave the feedback. It's really simple when you boil it down. Confidence is looking for improvement, while cockiness is just trying to protect its image, no matter what.
So let's take this out of our heads and into the real world. How does this all play out in our relationships? The way we talk to other people is a massive tell for whether we're coming from a place of confidence or cockiness. Think about this. A confident person isn't threatened by someone else being smart. They leave space in a conversation. They ask follow-up questions. They can say, you know what, that's not my area of expertise. You take the wheel. Cockiness, though, it treats every conversation like a competition, like a series of hurdles to jump over. It only speaks to reload for its next point. It would literally rather crash the car than share the driving.
But what about the ultimate stress test? The storm. What happens when things really go wrong? When there's failure or real responsibility or even grief on the line?
And this is where you really see the long-term difference. Confidence can carry the heavy weight of responsibility. It's accountable, and being accountable actually makes it stronger. Cockiness, on the other hand, is just a brand. It is allergic to any real consequence. So when the pressure gets real, it just chatters. It doesn't survive. So in the end, it comes down to being faithful over being flashy. It's about the commitment to just keep showing up, doing the work, being accountable, even when that flashy performance of winning is nowhere in sight. That's the real long game. Okay, so after digging into all this, it's probably a good time for a little self-inspection, right? A gut check for your own foundation. Here are 2 questions you can ask yourself to figure out what's really driving you.
First one, what breaks you and what makes you better? And be really honest with yourself here. If criticism just crushes you, and praise is the only thing that builds you up, well, cockiness might have its hands on the wheel. But if criticism actually sharpens you and praise kind of humbles you, that's the sign of true confidence at work.
And here's the final check. Can you sit with your own silence? When the day is over, the audience is gone, the phone is off. Are you okay? See, cockiness desperately needs that external validation, the audience, the likes, the applause. But confidence? It's sustained by an internal purpose. It can just sit in the quiet because the work itself is the reward.
And we're going to end on this powerful idea. I don't chase the room, I build the room, then invite the weather. What a shift in perspective, right? It's about moving from seeking approval to creating something of real substance. You stop chasing the party. Instead, you build a structure so solid, so real, that you can welcome any storm that comes your way. You build the room.